It's been a while since my first story on this website, and I wanted to check it out after I and my friends were talking about ghosts. There's a lot to talk about, but I will probably only talk about this one moment at my university, Unimos, that has been sticking with me for a while. This happened a few months ago, unlike my last story. It happened during the early hours on a Friday. I was busy doing some assignments that were supposed to be due yesterday, but I was pretty slow with it. The first months at university wasn't so easy, but I got used to it later on. Now, if I remembered correctly, it happened either late at 2 or just as soon as it hit 3. I was wearing my earphones drawing figurines and stuff when I heard a knock on the door. When I took my earphones off, there wasn't much of a sound. I thought it was just the flimsy table that's making the noise, so I decided to go back to work. But then it happened again, and this time I had my left earphone off, so I definitely had to double confirm. I looked at the door and then back at my papers when all of a sudden, the knocking happened again. This time, I had my full attention towards the door and I wasn't doing anything that could possibly have made the noise. It was fast and aggressive, almost like they wanted me to get to the door. However, I was pretty spooked out to even move when I heard the knocking. Being afraid made me recite my prayers faster than a speeding bullet. I've heard of a lot of ghostly rumors at Unimos before I registered to my dorm, and most people were talking about the knocking, so when it happened to me, I was beyond afraid. I wasn't expecting the paranormal moment to hit me. It happened for a solid minute before the knocking eventually ceased. I scared but wasn't brave enough to even reach the door. So I sat there on my seat and then towards my roommate who was sound asleep. Like, dude didn't even hear what happened. Took at least 30 minutes for me to settle down. I was too scared to even continue my assignment, so I decided to get straight to bed and finish my assignment hours later. Only explanation that I could probably think about that explains this very incident is that someone who I shared apartments with in Unimos, we have this concept where students lived in apartment-style dorms. You know, with the living room and kitchen and everything. Must have been knocking the door for something, but gave up because they assumed I was asleep. I remembered one person who was awake with me at the time, but you won't imagine the look of horror I had on my face the moment he said that he didn't bother coming out of his room and was sound asleep starting at 1, which is a whole hour before the knocking even started. Nobody was awake at the time too. I asked everyone. So yeah, ever since I've started to always be on guard whenever I go to my room without my roommate being there. Because of that incident, I've started to feel comfortable doing my assignments in the study room just a few blocks away from my dorm. A couple of years ago, I mentioned there was a girl's voice I would sometimes hear in my bedroom, and if you've been following my stories, this would probably make this a continuation. Over the years, I've kind of developed a sixth sense and been able to see the beyond. As stated in my previous stories, I heard a little girl speak to me, but never really saw or fully speak to her until this event. One early morning, as I was slowly waking up but still a bit sleepy, I noticed my alarm clock didn't go off. Normally, I always wake up to the sound of the alarm to get ready for work, but sometimes I naturally wake up and lay down for a bit until it goes off. That morning I decided to close my eyes and rest a little. As I was resting, I felt a presence on my bed, as if someone was resting on the side. In my mind's eye, I could see a little girl with blonde hair, tied back, smiling at me. She was on the floor by the bedside, and her arms were folded, placed upon the bedside, and her head was resting on her arms, looking at my face with adoration. She spoke in the same voice I recognized those years ago. "I think you really should get up now." I mumbled, "No, let me sleep." She responded with a cheeky smile, "No, I think you really should get up now," speaking with confidence that she knew something was going to happen. In my head I thought, why on earth would I be having such a conversation? Was this a dream? It felt like it was a warning of some sort. Still half asleep, I slowly opened my eyes and quickly got up to see if she was there, but she had gone. I got a bit weirded out but felt happy. Suddenly the alarm goes off. Just seconds after that dreamlike conversation. Perfect timing. That morning I kept thinking if that was just my imagination or a daydream, but I really did appreciate her for waking me up just seconds before the alarm would go off. As I write this, I just noticed the side of my bed is a bit lopsided, as if something has left an impression, like someone has been resting on the side of the bed for a very long time on a regular basis. A couple of months later, on another morning around early spring, I had woken up to the sound of someone in my household turning the shower on in the bathroom. I didn't take much notice as this was a regular occurrence, and so I slowly went back to sleep. I had a dream, and in the dream I was an archaeologist digging up something. In the dream I seen little bits of paper with writing on it and noticed my name materialize on the paper. Then I heard my name being called out to me. The voice kept repeating my name over and over again. Realizing I've had such an experience before meant that someone was trying to wake me up. Much to my annoyance, I willed myself awake and looked at my surroundings. No one was there in my room, but I could still hear the shower turned on as water was sporadically hitting the floor. I thought it was bizarre for my mind to conjure up such a scenario, as I've had this happen to me twice only for someone to be there waking me up, so to see no body was bizarre. I rested my head as I laid down. "Jack!" Suddenly I heard a man say my name loud and clearly in my right ear. It startled to me. My heart began to race and I got scared, and then the fear turned to angry. I called out one of the names of the people I live with, but I got no answer. I looked at my bedroom door, still hearing the shower from the bathroom. This gave me comfort. I guess they didn't hear me. I slowly rested my head, this time wide awake. The fact that a disembodied man's voice kept saying my name to wake me up really freaked me out. I really don't want to experience that again. If there's ways to stop that, I really hope readers can comment and let me know. I'd much rather have the little girl wake me up because that voice and the way it was trying to wake me up disturbed me. Sometimes I think maybe it's just an overactive imagination, but then again, I've experienced real things with others that didn't make sense before. I hope it's not something too bad. This occurred back in the late 1960s in an old shotgun-framed house we lived at in Houston, Texas when I was a little boy. My father worked nights and I had a case of the chicken pox. My mother let me stay up late and watch TV on the couch since I couldn't go to school. We had a pet toy poodle named Shelly that always slept at the foot of my mother's feet. My mother and father had some friends that lived down the street who would come over and play dominoes or cards with him from time to time while we would have to go to bed. That particular night, my mother and me were watching an episode of The Twilight Zone when my mother's dog Shelly sat up and focused on a shadowy figure at the very end of the hall in the kitchen. She started to viciously growl and the back of her fur was standing up while backing up to my mother's feet at the shadowy figure. My mother instantly jumped up and turned the hallway lights on, but there was nothing there. But our dog was really disturbed and it really creeped me out. I was only 5 years old. My mother grabbed the phone and called my father, who was at work, and told him that she thought we had a prowler and wanted him to come home. I could hear my father's voice through the phone receiver tell my mother to call the police until he could get there. As soon as my mother hung up the phone, it rang, and my mother picked it up. It was our neighbor who my parents played dominoes with, and she was screaming on the other end, telling my mother that her husband had just shot himself committing suicide. This all happened just about the same time that our pet dog saw that shadow staring at us in the hallway. To this day, I remember that event in detail and believe that we saw the ghostly spirit of our neighbor after he had shot himself. Heyyyy. Hope you like this video. If yes, then don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. It would help us a lot. Also, if you have any of your personal incident, then you can share it with us on the mentioned Gmail account in description. And with that said, we will meet you in the next spooky video. Till then, peace out.